Hey YouTube, I'm Lucky, and
The results are in.
we now have an update from Raid Report on the world's first race. My neighbors probably hate me. It's 3 a.m. in the morning, and I'm using a megaphone there. But that's besides the point, because we need to go over the data of who got world's first. We've covered that before. The same team is still in Raid Report, and we also need to cover all the other teams, the community favorites, and go over everything. The first thing I want to say as I start this video, though, is I'm not a shit talker at all. I've got 0 world's first. 0. And no one expects me to get world's first. So when I critique people and how well their team did or how poorly their team did, please take that into consideration, okay? I'm not talking trash on anyone. I'm just trying to be objective over the 6-year course that we've done raid races from Vault of Glass to now the Deepstone Crypt. It's important to keep in mind all that context, who's gotten world's first from the beginning till now, and how they're performing at this point in time. So starting from the very top, shout out to Team Luminous, and we got Eoterra, Claw, Flux, and all these other guys that I've never actually heard of them, but I've heard of Eoterra, Claw, and these other guys are now world's first champions. Congrats to them. 5 hours, 29 minutes. Like I talked about, my prediction was 3 to 6 hours, so I was pretty close in that, and that's incredible. Congrats to them. They're going to get the belt sent to them. Very impressive to them. Legends. Legends. They will be remembered for that one. The next one that we'll go over is Slayerage, and his team actually got world's third, which is very impressive. Shout out to him. He's obviously a beast. Been doing this Destiny crazy PvE challenges since the beginning. A real OG. Shout out to Slayerage. Very impressive on getting third. I know he probably felt a little sad that he didn't get first. Again, he's already got a world's first before, but still extremely impressive, finishing in the top 10 and getting third. In the number 9 spot, we have X Black. Now, this was actually the winner of the previous raid, the Garden of Salvation, world's first. So they actually ended up getting 9th. So they're clearly a top contender. They got world's first at Garden of Salvation, and now here they are getting into top 10 place in the next raid. So I can only imagine in whatever the next raid is, a year from now or 10 months from now. I'm not sure when Bungie would be releasing that, or maybe 6 months from now. Maybe there'll be a mid-year raid like we usually get. Definitely look out for this team. You know, going from world's first to world's 9th, top 10 is definitely still very impressive. So that's the second one of notice. Going on down, we have Dado and his team. Unfortunately, they got just out of the top 10, but still 12th, which is very impressive. I mean, this was a very, very competitive race. I mean, we have there was like thousands of teams that actually beat it within the first 24 hours. So this is the most teams that have ever beat it within the first 24 hours. I don't know what happened or why so many people turned up all of a sudden for the Deepstone Crypt raid, but there's just like thousands and thousands of people that got world's first. So tons and tons of people have the emblem, and way more than ever before, and it doesn't even make any sense. I mean, like, Scourge of the Past had it was like the shortest raid ever. It was beaten less than 2 hours, and there was still less people that actually got the 24-hour emblem in Scourge of the Past than there were in the Deepstone Crypt. So I don't where did you all come from? If you did this raid, where did you come from? Where is everyone coming from? Apparently Bungie's making a lot more money than we think, because apparently this free-to-play shit is working, because there's a lot of people playing the damn game apparently. So number 9th spot goes to X Black and his team. Congrats to them on getting top 10 finish. Dado with the 12th. And then we'll keep scrolling down, and we'll see Giggs. And this is a team I told you to look out for. Giggs is a beast. Dude, I'm telling you, this guy's nuts at Destiny 2. He's very, very talented at all games, really. And no surprises here that he finished top 15, which is still very impressive. Obviously, you know, finishing first is the best. Top 10, second best. You know, outside of that, so on and so forth. We can keep going on down the list, but still very impressive. I anticipated that they would finish potentially first or top 10. They fell a little bit out of that, but they still did very well. Very talented team. Congrats to them. And we'll scroll way down the list here, a good amount, and a bit of a surprise here. Not shitting on anyone. We have Redeem at the 33rd spot, which is pretty crazy considering they are like the flashiest team when it comes to world's first. I mean, they have 5 world's first, and if you look at their Twitter header, it actually says Redeem 5-time world's first champion. So they're not even subtle about it at all. They're like, yeah, we got 5 world's first. They got that big swinging dick. They're flexing it all the time of their accomplishments inside Destiny 2, which is very impressive what they've done. But definitely in the recent raid races, they have plummeted in position further and further and further down as the raid races have become more and more and more competitive, as we see contest modifier added and so many more people able to actually compete for that world's first belt. Before, back in the day, like I mentioned before, it was like a backyard competition. It was like 5-10 teams, and like you knew like one of those teams was going to get it, but now it's like, who's going to get world's first now? There's like thousands of teams that are very legitimate and have a very good chance of getting it, and Here we see Redeem, one of the most prestigious teams, all the way down on the 33rd spot. I mean, still very impressive. No, don't get me wrong. Still very impressive, but still very, very far from first, and definitely a big disappointment to them, I'm sure. I even heard rumors that Sweatcicle is actually mentioning that he might not do the world's first race in the next raid, that he's not as interested in that. So I think what might be happening is maybe these guys are more focused on content creation now rather than actual world's first competitions. They got their 5 belts, like, you know what? Forget about it. But either way, I only mentioned their name and only mentioned the 33rd place because so much is expected from them. I mean, if you've watched Redeem before, you know a lot is expected of them. They got a passionate community. Their community wants them to get first, and they're expected to do extremely well because they got 5 belts. They got the most belts of anyone. And so to see them down this far, it's of notable mention. I have to mention it, and I'm not trying to be a dick about it, though. Moving on to the next section, the only real noticeable one that I can see in here is that we actually see Goth's team is actually in 77th place, which is... considering they were the world's first team that got world's first in King's Fall, and in the past few raids they actually weren't even able to finish the raid. It was impressive that they were able to finish it, but definitely a world's first team finishing in 77th place is pretty low. Congrats to them on actually beating it this time though, and perhaps we'll see them in a higher position in the next raid. Who knows? The last team that I'm going to mention on this is actually the team that placed 94th. This team, for whatever reason, had to 5-man it during contest modifier. So I don't know what happened to them, but shout out to you guys. You guys are insane. Navy Eagle, Achilles, So Basic, Lazarus, like, what the hell? What happened? I want to know. If you are one of these guys, how did you beat the damn raid 5-man in the top 100? There's no 6th player here. You see that? Like, you guys just straight 5-man the raid? I mean, that's a world's first right there. World's first 5-man falls to these guys. What a flex. These guys deserve their own raid belt of sorts. I mean, they literally went in there like, fuck it. We can't even find a 6th guy. You know what? We'll do it with 5-man. And I like that energy. And so those were all the teams of notable mention that I wanted to cover in this video, the ones that I talked about with my predictions video, and I covered the world's first announcement as well. There was exactly 5,313 teams, and the last team that I want to mention, last 2 teams rather, were these teams. This team actually beat it at 1 day, 0 hours, and 0 minutes. I mean, they beat it on the button. Like, the instant the boss dies, you have to go to orbit. So they, like, killed the boss, I think, and maybe they grabbed the loot, maybe they didn't. They went straight to orbit, and they got it, like, on the exact second. You can see right here, this guy, Squishy Panda, actually has the emblem on. I mean, that was, like, right on the wire. I could only imagine their hearts just absolutely pounding if they hadn't had the 24 emblem at that time. They were probably just losing their absolute minds, thinking that they might not actually get the emblem. So kudos to them on getting it just in time. And from what the API shows, the first team that actually would have received True Heartbreak is right here. We got Marlowe, Happy Little Tree, and Robo Llama. They got 1 day, 0 hours, and 1 minute. So it looks like they were the first team to receive Absolute Heartbreak and not beat the raid during contest modifier. Feels bad, but you know, that's the way it goes. Let me know in the comment section below, did you get the 24-hour emblem? Were you going for it? Were you excited about it? Did you try and fail, or did you try and succeed? Or will you go for the 24-hour emblem in the next raid, whenever that is? Make sure to subscribe with notifications on, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.